You ever notice how something small can become the crack that breaks the whole thing? For me, it was a tablet left on the kitchen counter with his Facebook still logged in. He'd been careless that night, a beer spilled at a friend's place. Keys on the hook, and the kind of forgetfulness that gives you a choice. Confront or watch. I chose to watch, not because I wanted to hurt, but because I needed the truth to land on him in the quietest, most unavoidable way possible. He was called Aaron, charming, smooth-talking, the kind of man who could make you laugh and then make you question if you ever mattered at all. We moved in together fast, thinking the little rituals of sharing a home would bind us closer. Morning coffee, split chores, an inside joke about who left the socks in the living room. I thought I knew him. I thought wrong. It started subtle. He came home later, sometimes, a faint scent of perfume that wasn't mine on his collar. He'd tell me it was work, or an old friend he ran into. I believed him more times than I should have. But the tablet thing, that was the universe handing me something I couldn't ignore. He left his account open and walked out like it was nothing. In that moment, I had a choice. Slam the door, scream, expose him in a scene he'd probably blame me for, or do something that would let his own social life become a mirror he couldn't ignore. I decided on the latter because I wanted the fallout to feel inevitable, not theatrical. I wanted him to wake up and find his world quieter, smaller, like a stage with fewer people applauding. So I began in small, almost invisible ways. I removed a friend here, an acquaintance there, one slow click at a time. Not everyone at once, that would have been obvious. Over weeks I trimmed his list, editing the crowd around him until the notifications dwindled. There's a strange, creeping satisfaction in watching someone's social proof erode without them noticing. People start to notice loneliness the way they notice a stain on a shirt. It's only when others point it out that you feel embarrassed. He joked about it at first. Is my phone broken? He'd ask, chuckling. I'd shrug and act oblivious. But the truth was, I wanted the emptiness he felt online to echo in other parts of his life. If he could pretend to be connected while being unfaithful, I could make his connectedness feel hollow. I didn't stop there. There are little domestic things he'd always left for me. Bills, small chores, the sort of privileges that invisibly cemented a power imbalance. He bragged about being busy, about how he didn't have time for petty tasks, while expecting me to keep the household pristine. So when he started sleeping around, I tapped into a different kind of petty. I superglued the front door lock. I padlocked the back gate and kept the key tucked away in a drawer I always used for receipts. I wasn't trying to cause harm. I wasn't trying to trap anyone or put them in danger. I wanted a single, humiliating inconvenience to puncture his sense of control, to make the man who liked to control everything practical feel for once like something practical was out of his hands. I wanted him to fumble, to face the small chaos his choices had created. At first, it was almost comical. He arrived home late one night, keys jingling, phone in his hand, and then he couldn't get inside. He pounded the door with that entitled impatience as if the house owed him entry. Neighbors peered over, and his face, usually so composed, went red. He cursed, tried the back gate, and then realized the key wasn't where it always was. I watched him from the window with a cup of tea, feeling something like relief bubble up. He banged against a door he thought was his to enter without question, and for once he didn't have the script to make it okay. I'm not proud of vandalism, but I also won't apologize for making him taste a little disarray. While he fumbled, I kept everything within reason. I mailed the key to a neighbor with a note asking them to give it back after a proper apology. Nothing permanent, just a public inconvenience. I wanted his arrogance to be interrupted by accountability from the smallest, most human of places, his community. People gossip, and gossip sticks faster than pity. When word drifted back to him that his own neighbors had been inconvenienced by his sudden inability to access his home, there was a face he couldn't Photoshop for. People talk. People notice. Meanwhile, his online life got quieter and quieter. Friends messaged wondering if he'd moved away. People invited him to events and then didn't get a reply. The social momentum that had once buffered him, likes, comments, casual tags, thinned into silence like a crowd watching someone leave a party early. He complained to me, of course, about bugs, about privacy settings, but I played the part of the uninterested roommate so well that he began to doubt his own paranoia. He wanted explanation after explanation, and each time I offered a bland shrug, I felt less like a conspirator and more like a judge letting evidence mount. Of course, life has a way of answering petty measures with honest effects. There was a night he stumbled toward me, reeking of someone else's perfume and desperation, asking why people weren't engaging, why invitations dried up. I told him the truth, but without the drama he expected. Maybe people can sense who you are, I said quietly. Maybe they see what I saw. He called me cruel. He called me overreacting. He called me unstable. But the truth doesn't care which name you choose to call it. It simply sits there, patient as a stone, waiting for someone to notice. After a while, the minimal measures did what I needed them to do. They shrank his world in a way that matched his betrayal. He started answering fewer invites, stopped posting as much, and for reasons unrelated to me. His pride began to look like loneliness, and loneliness has its own punishment, quiet, reflective, hard to place. No forceful revenge, no dramatic exposure, just a slow erosion that comes from losing the small social proofs that once made someone feel larger than they were. Months later, he came to me humbled, apologizing in a way that wasn't quite apology. He wanted to talk. He wanted to explain. I listened. The man who had once feigned busyness and importance now spoke in staccato regret. I didn't gloat. God knows I wanted to. Instead, I offered him a mirror. His actions had consequences, and one of them was a smaller life. He left that evening and looked different, as if the armor he wore was melted down. I didn't post a single thing. I didn't hold press conferences or broadcast his faults. I didn't need to. The tiny, quiet changes had done their work. People saw him differently because he'd shown his true colors, and the world, which had once applauded his charm, now simply watched him move through it. The humbling was quiet, devastating even, because it was ordinary. He missed invites. He got fewer follower tags. Lonely Saturdays replaced the noisy validation he'd once relied on. And me, I filled the small spaces he left with friends, with long walks at dusk, with dinners where conversation flowed both ways. I learned that power isn't about the ability to punish, but the ability to choose a life that doesn't revolve around someone else's drama. The tablet on the counter was a window into his hubris, and I chose to close it in a way that let the truth do the talking. If someone tells you revenge must be loud to hurt, they don't know the particular cruelty of slow dismantling. There's a kind of justice that arrives in the margins, in fewer notifications. In a neighbor's raised eyebrow, in a locked gate that makes an entitled man feel small. That kind of justice doesn't ruin someone entirely, but it nudges them back into the human fold where they might learn something, and sometimes that's enough. So if you ever find yourself holding the key to a small, quiet change, consider using it, not for cruelty, but for clarity. Because there's a peace that comes from watching life realign itself without you needing to shout. And that, I learned, was the sweetest thing of all.